Hello, hello. Morning, everyone. Or evening, everyone, I should say. Morning for me here. All right, I'm just going to get ready here, get all set up, say hi in the chat. If you guys are just jumping on, we are going to have another awesome show today. We're going to be talking about a few different types of diets. We're going to be talking about keto, plant-based, vegan. So as always, if you've got any questions, make sure you put them in. Okay. Awesome. Hey, Eric and Lisa. Good to see you guys. Yes, as I said, we're going to be talking about keto. We're going to be talking about what plant-based really means. We're going to be talking about vegan diets, vegetarian diets. So it should be fun. It should be good to dive into all of these topics. So if you're just joining us, hello. If you're on Facebook, say hi. We will give us another couple of minutes here and then we will get set. Excuse me. So if you are tuning in while we wait for Dr. Bart to turn up, let me know in the chat what type of diet you live by. Hopefully a whole bunch of you might put God's Garden, but there is definitely a bunch of different diets that all work for certain people. So we're going to dive into some of why that is tonight as well. And hopefully my voice gets a little less croaky. We'll see. Also, for anybody who hasn't already subscribed to our podcast, please do. We would so appreciate it. You can go to your favorite podcast app. So you can go to iTunes, you can go to Google Play. I really like to listen to podcasts on Spotify. So if you have Spotify, we're on there too. And all you do is you can search for Health Made Simple Show. Health Made Simple Show podcast. It will come up like this. And if you just hit that subscribe button, we would be so grateful. Also, if you love it, please do also leave us a review. We would love to be able to get this podcast out to more people. So the more you guys can rate, review, and download the podcast, the more people we can get it out to. And thank you, of course, to everybody who rocks up live every week as well. Obviously, we love to be able to answer questions and chat through this with you guys. So any questions throughout the show, type them in. If you're on Facebook, hi, type them your questions into the chat on Facebook, and we will be able to get those questions answered for you. So just, you can just type them in. Dr. Bart, hello.
Hello, Karen.
How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. Good to see you tonight or this morning.
Good to see you. So I'm looking forward to diving into today's show. Shall we just dive right in?
Yeah, let's do it. Dive right in.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. Before we get started, I want to introduce our host, Dr. Bart Precourt, who has been a healthcare provider for over 20 years, practicing a range of modalities, including chiropractic, acupuncture, kinesiology, functional nutrition and supplementation, as well as lab testing, all out of his clinic Balance Health Studio in Seagrove Beach, Florida, and virtually around the world with everyone, with people. He's also the founder of the Health Edge program, which is a cutting edge health program for entrepreneurs and executives wanting to take their health to the next level. He works with celebrities and athletes all around the world. And tonight is going to talk about some different diet types with us, especially some of the ones that are getting a lot of a lot of press at the moment. People are talking about. We're going to dive into maybe what are the good parts, what aren't the good parts, and some things you might need to think about if you are going to try some of these diets.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Karen. So there's more and more, and like tonight I want to focus on 3 primaries, but already in my brain I'm thinking that we should probably expand that. So like we'll go through keto, what is it, what it's not, which is really important, and then also plant-based diets. That terminology, where is that coming from? Why do we hear so much of it now? What is that? What is it? What does it mean moving forward? Plant-based type of nutrition. And then, of course, old school, vegan and vegetarian. We'll define some of those, and we'll look at the pros and cons of each one. And also just, my goal tonight is to create a big awareness about like all of these different types of things that are taking place. Because oftentimes we're still, we still big steps get missed. And when we miss big steps in nutrition, the downfall is poor health. And so tonight my goal is that we just we navigate through them, find some common links, find some things that might not be working so good, on a repetitive basis. And again, this is because, when I'm in clinic, Karen, these are the questions that pop up. And sometimes I scratch my head, like I want to bang my head against the wall. I'm like, no, that's not what that really means. Or that's not how we're supposed to apply that. So that's our goal tonight. And that's, I think it'll be a fun conversation and really informative as well. So again, for everyone who's here on, Zoom, welcome back. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it and love you all. Keep doing your thing. Like if you have questions, just put them in the notes or any diet. Karen, I was mentioning to you earlier. I've had 2 people so far talk to me about a black bean diet that they're on.
None of that one.
Yeah, it was new to me as well. There's such a thing as a grape diet out there.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, there's other things that I use clinically, like there's, I'll often use something called Carnivore Diet. So if we have time, we can even navigate all of those, or if anyone has questions about particular types of diets, we'll help navigate through those. So again, and then for the people here on Facebook, of course, welcome, appreciate that you're here, and keep doing your thing, keep sharing it out, keep spreading the love, because it is these conversations that are real in clinic that we do our best every Tuesday night to bring these to really just simplify health, like just make things a little bit simpler. So as we navigate our health moving forward and we're getting, ourselves geared up to be as close to superhuman as possible, we realize that it's not all that hard. If we can just kind of figure out the strategy and the path to get there. Yeah.
Love that. We've already got a comment in the chat here from Eric and Lisa who say they've been on keto. Now they're on keto, paleo diet, and definitely do God's garden, which is awesome. So maybe we can start with keto. What is keto?
All right, keto. So the keto diet, the ketogenic diet, and I know it's been out there for a little bit, but I think this is worthy for us to just kind of have a nice conversation and really how do we know if we're on keto? So ketogenic diet, the whole premise is that we eat in such a way that as our body consumes and uses the nutrients that's coming in, we start to burn up that fuel and eventually develop something or create something called ketones. And that's something that your body can produce when we don't have any sugar in the body or we don't have any carbs to burn. So then your body burns a type of fuel source called ketones. And the beauty about ketones, Karen, is like they are what everyone makes up to be. Like they light your brain on fire. When you are getting into a ketogenic state where you start to use ketones for fuel, you literally kill off bad cells. Like it's a natural state that your body, a natural stress state that your body goes into. So you kill off all the weak cells. So everything that we heard about it, like the brain fog going away, losing weight, your brain working better, your eyes working better, like decreased inflammation in the body, joints working better, all of those things, they're legit. They really do work. The first time for me as a clinician, I ever got exposed to anything, even a realm of ketogenic diet was, I think it was in 1998. It was a one-shot deal. I'd only been in practice about 2 years. And I remember reading about it in a book, like in school. And I got a call from a mom who said, my son is having seizures, about 15 or 20 a day or something like that. You're a holistic guy. I was told to go to a chiropractor to learn how to do a ketogenic diet. Is that something you can help me with? And the bravado in me was like, yeah, absolutely. And so, and then I remember studying about it. Then literally at old school you didn't have Google and stuff like that to quickly figure it out. So I remember pulling out books and borrowing books at the time. I had about a week to study up, and I remember studying, being like, oh, there's no big deal. Just get rid of all the carbohydrates and all the sugar and just have them eat a really high fat diet and like a medium protein diet. And then he burned ketones. Well, long story short, this is exactly what I had the mom do. I've never done it personally. That's what I had the mom do for this little kid who was 18 months old. And the seizures went down from like 18 a day to 10 a day to 5 a day to 1 a day to less than 1 a week. And it really opened my eyes, that our body can really heal itself through different mechanisms as long as we like got out sugar and carbs. So anyways, that's and then I didn't do anything with it. It's not like I was ahead of the times or anything. I just literally learned it out of a book, applied it. Someone never did it to myself. Then about probably 7 or 8 years ago, I started incorporating into my clinic and even, for my own personal health, et cetera. So the ketogenic diet, after I just talked about that long-winded way, is really, when it comes down to it, is a high-fat diet. It's high fat, it's medium protein, and it's very, very low carbohydrates, because ultimately, Karen, all the carbohydrates that we consume convert to sugar. And so the carbohydrates we are consuming on a ketogenic diet, we want them to be the high fiber foods like broccoli and cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, those kind of things that they have high fiber and they don't convert that easily into sugar. So when we're in that state, high fat, medium protein, and this is the key, this is where a lot of people are messing it up, medium protein, and then super, super low carbohydrates. That helps our body to burn or make what we call ketones.
Yeah, awesome. And so, I mean, I assume with this diet, like all of them, there's some better and worse ways to do it. You kind of pointed out that protein. I think that's something that I often hear people kind of overdo when they're thinking keto.
Yeah. So, inevitably, like every one of us loves to hear like, oh, really? I can have burger. Like we all have our thing, that we love.
Bacon, right? Bacon.
Yeah. Like love
wants to.
permission to like just gobble down. And as a result of it, this high fat, medium protein, low carbohydrate, a lot of what I think, or what I consider dirty keto, now takes place. And dirty keto might be something like eating a ton of cheese. Even though now we grabbed our phones and, Googled keto diet, depends on who putting the list out, you would see like cheese is good, nut butters are good, and they are good, not as the staple of your diet. So they are high fat, medium protein, low carbohydrate. Just because it's that, or, you mentioned earlier, just because something now says keto, we got to be careful. It doesn't mean that it's good, healthy food.
Yeah, because you can get bars now, right? So they're like processed bars that have a bunch of chemical ingredients on them, but they're keto. They say keto on the bar, and really you could be following a keto diet just by eating a bunch of those bars, or you can get packets of different meals that, in the frozen section that are keto. How about some of those? I mean,
and that's what I mean. So any of these we're going to talk about tonight, there's always like a variation. And even when I get to plant-based, we'll talk about certain things that it's just like, absolutely not. That doesn't work that way. So with keto, now that we're seeing that it has become so popular, literally, I still think it's one of the most popular Googled terms that exists right now. Month on month, they do all this research. And I think keto is still one of the most popular things. So there's a gold standard if you're on a ketogenic diet, and the gold standard is to check your blood glucose and your ketones, and via blood, not the urine stick, or not. The breathalyzer is okay, but it's not realistic for most people. So you can prick your finger and get these little strips, and you read your strip, and it'll let you know where your ketones are. And that literally is the gold standard, because in order to get high level of ketones, which would really be considered when you're measuring them anywhere above 0.5. So if you can go between 0.5 all the way up to 2.0, and maybe some people are, to 2.5. If you can do that, you are fat adaptive. And this is what's really cool, Karen, that literally you have taught your body how to burn fat for fuel. So I'm still a huge advocate of doing a ketogenic diet properly. The challenge is I don't see it done properly nearly enough. And when we get into talking about things like fiber and the proper, like how many vegetables we really need, even myself, when I'm on a ketogenic diet, I'm like, whoa, this is not sustainable because I'm not eating enough fiber. I'm not eating enough vegetables. And I think that is there's two parts that go wrong with the ketogenic diet. One, it becomes a meat eating contest. And we already saw kind of the shortcomings when it came to paleo. Paleo is another phenomenal, like paradigm to follow, like kind of like a guideline to follow. Yet people turned it into a meat eating contest, which it was not designed to be. And same thing with the keto, people like just end up like eating just all kinds of meat all the time. And again, that is not the idea of it. Again, it's a high fat, medium protein and a low carbohydrate diet. But even though it says low carbohydrates, we have to infuse as many good vegetables as humanly possible. In fact, I'd say that an ideal ketogenic diet is super high in vegetables that have fiber, and that'll still keep our carbohydrates low if the fiber's there.
Yeah, awesome. And really, no matter what diet we talk about tonight, we really still want to try and keep within God's garden. We want to keep it organic. We want to keep it real food versions, right? So if we are talking about protein sources, we want to have organic protein sources.
Yeah, and that's what the cool thing is. And I think it allows us tonight to just go kind of like shrug our shoulders and just go, oh, so really what we're talking about with any diet is really God's garden. Like we're always going back to best that we can, 100% organic. We're going to go, like we're going to rule out the gluten and stuff like that, non-GMO and non-processed. So when we think about God's garden, we'll talk a little bit about those variations of God's garden, in like a vegan or a vegetarian, where they may take some things out of God's garden. Yet nonetheless, the commonality of all of these, Karen, and we were discussing this a little bit off air here, the commonality is that you get off processed food, you get off of crap. We get back to eating real food. And that is why, to take the confusion away when people say, well, this is the best thing, this is how everything that changed my life. This diet did this, I lost 10 pounds, I got rid of my cancer, whatever it may be. The reality is that means they got rid of all the crap. That's what happens. So whether you go or keto, plant-based or vegetarian, you get off crap, things are going to change in your benefit.
Yeah, it is. It's why no matter what diet people try, they always feel good. Especially, they might not feel good 10 years later. They might not feel good 20 years, but especially for that first few months, 6 months, year, they feel amazing, mainly just because of what you said. They may have been on this processed food takeaway diet and they've gone to actually eating real food, whether it is vegan, plant-based, keto, paleo, whatever it is. Yeah, that taking the junk out. All of them take out sugar. All of them, most of them take out sugar. I guess you can, have sugar in a vegetarian diet, but still a lot of them focus around real food.
Yeah. And then, after a year, like we all been through, it's almost shameful that, quite frankly, on every night on Fox and then on CNN and all these news stations, that we weren't seeing people coming out and saying, don't forget God's garden, whole food every day, keep the junk out, because this would have been an entirely different, year if we did that. So I'm guessing, and hopefully that everyone, here on Facebook tonight and watching us, on Zoom, for the most part, you've heard it enough where you're moving your nutrition, your habits toward whole foods. And then on the occasion, you get something into your body that's not so good for you. It might be chemical based or something like that. But then you choose to navigate right back.
So what about with the keto diet? Are there certain people that should and shouldn't try the keto diet?
Yeah, I think with every plan, there's definitely, whether in each one we'll talk about tonight, there's definitely subsets that probably don't do good in certain scenarios. So for example, a lot of people here, if you have an adrenal issue, like adrenal fatigue or something like that, that you might not want to do a keto diet. But I want to get something really clear here. The keto diet, ketogenic diet, is actually phenomenal for people with adrenal fatigue. Yet it's the fasting. So a ketogenic diet is associated to fasting, but it's not a requisite. So we've really put those two together to amplify how we get these results, because you can basically speed up the fat burning process. You can speed up turning your body into a fat burning machine by using fasting. Yet the challenge is with fasting, intermittent fasting, which is not really a diet, it's just kind of like a style. Intermittent fasting, if you already have like adrenal fatigue, there's a problem there. it's a little counterproductive because in fasting, we are naturally putting the body into a state of hormesis, which is natural stress, which is good. That's like weightlifting, et cetera, like ice tanks and, and going into a hot sauna. That's all a natural form of or intentional stress that eventually makes us stronger. So that's what happens when we fast. The challenge is, and that stress eventually puts our body and especially our muscles, the protein, the amino acids that make up the protein in an anabolic state, means to grow, like you're on anabolic steroids. The challenge is when you have adrenal fatigue, your body typically is in a catabolic state, meaning it is literally eating your muscle tissue. So if you're breaking down muscle tissue and you're eating it up because your adrenals are weak or they're in a fatigued state, we get trouble here. So we got to be real mindful of things like intermittent fasting in the event that you are also having an adrenal issue. And that would go, and this will fit better when we talk about vegetarian or vegan or even plant-based for that matter. Anyone with diabetes, and this is where it's really going to hit home tonight, where if you're pre-diabetes or diabetic, you really got to pay attention, because if your version of a vegan diet or vegetarian diet is the fact that you can eat bread because it's not meat, big trouble.
Well, actually, one of the questions we've got on Facebook here is, what type of diet do you recommend for type 1 diabetes? Because were you just talking about type 2, or is this all diabetes?
I was predominantly talking about type 2, but at the same time, so, the type 1, I mean, they were born with this. They didn't necessarily develop it. Yet the same thing, the same fundamentals are going to apply. The fasting's not going to be that great for them. Although I'll tell you, clinically, I've done it with my type 1s, really kind of holding their hand, and we're getting great results. I would say a God's garden. And I would also say something that would be a blend, quite frankly, of almost like I'm going to mix a bunch of words. I'd say it'd be like a ketotarian paleo person.
So maybe a keto, but with a few more veggies, maybe not so like a little bit higher carbohydrate, but good carbohydrates. Is that what you kind of,
and
that kind of real food based diet?
Yeah. So at this point, now that I'll encourage a lot of people to use a ketogenic diet, or I'll bring them through it. Even clinically, I make a strong emphasis to say, listen, I want you to think ketotarian. I want you to think that this is a keto diet, but your keto diet is supposed to have copious amounts of vegetables. Yeah. And it's really, really important. Again, I'll dive into this a little bit more, because fiber is so critical when it comes to cleansing the body.
Yeah. So how much fiber do we need? What are we trying to aim for?
Male and female, just a little bit different. And that's usually just based on the length of our intestines. So this is going to be really interesting when I tell you how much. So ideally, and I don't know all the science behind it, but I've sat through those lectures and I've listened to them, and I was like, all right, these guys are smart. I'll listen to them. Yeah. In order for us to get the amount of fiber that our body needs to cleanse out our intestines and bring, in motility and all that, women need roughly about 25 grams, give or take, and men need about 30 grams. But allow me to take a moment to make that relevant. So those buckets you get of spinach, you can go to the grocery store. Yeah. You guys have those big ones? Yeah. There's like a big version, then there's a little version. Well, typically the big version is about 10 ounces.
Okay.
Spinach. So we'll do this easy. 10 ounces of spinach will give you about 8 grams of fiber.
Okay.
So if everyone's listening and you don't do math really fast in your brain, okay, that 8 grams of fiber, if you're a female, you need 25 grams. So 3 buckets of spinach per day.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of us are not getting.
Not even. Yeah. So no wonders why we are toxic dumps. Yeah. And wonder that, because remember, fiber also satiates us. It makes us feel full. It moves our bowels. It cleans out things. So, and this is one of the massive differences between our forefathers and where we are now. They ate off the land more. They didn't eat out of packages, and most fiber won't survive in a package.
Yeah.
So we had all these different fibrous foods coming in, clearing out our intestines. And that was why it was also okay that every now and then we had some crap in our body, because we had so much fiber. And this is where fundamentally the keto peeps out there are making some huge problems for their bodies. They're eating this super high fat, and fat will collect stuff, but it's not pulling stuff out of your body. You know, it's not its desired mechanism when it comes in the body. It's not to bind on toxins and clear things out like excess estrogens or hormones. That's not what fat's doing. Fat's going to store that stuff. Our fiber is going to help us out. So if you're on a keto diet and you've turned it into like a meat and cheese diet, like that's not a good long-term strategy. And listen, I joke about it because that's like what I've done.
I bet. And I'm sure lots of people have. Meat and cheese diet sounds great, right? But like what are some ways we can increase our fiber besides eating 3 buckets of spinach? And also, how do we know how much fiber something like a carrot has in it?
Well, it's real simple. You literally you could grab your phone and Google and be like, fiber in carrot.
Yeah. Nice.
It just pops it up. So it's that simple. I've mentioned here before, there's an app that's so simple to use. I love using it. It's called carbmanager.com. No, Carb Manager. It's just an app, like right on your phone. Real easy. You put it in there and it shows you whether or not like it's, I don't even know whose app it is, but they did a great job with it. It's free. And you put in like a banana and then it'll show you how many grams of like fiber, sugar, in all of it. And it'll even give you if it's keto friendly, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Nah. So that's one way. And I think you had another question there.
Well, it was just, how can we increase our fiber besides eating 3 buckets of spinach?
Well, one, use a variety of different things. There's broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and it is our mentality, Karen, that, I think most people around the world right now, and not that I'm a world traveler, but the way that we design our meals is around our protein.
Yeah.
We've got to flip that concept, that paradigm. It was always made around all the vegetables and the variety of stuff. So just think of a massive salad, like a big bowl of salad that had some protein in it versus a big plate of protein that had a little salad on it. And so, for example, it is not like when I make a smoothie for my wife and I, it's not uncommon that I'll basically use a bucket of spinach, and I fill up a whole blender. So when I think of it in that way, it's not that difficult to do. And then there's a lot of other, fiber, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, kale, artichokes. And we start to see there's fiber everywhere, dates, like there's fiber everywhere if it's a plant.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
And then what about, we've got a question on Facebook here. What about fat? What kind of fat is recommended?
Yeah, great question. So, again, we're going to go look for the ones that nature produces for us. So when you get, your fats from like eggs or even a grass-fed burger, like those fats are really good because they have essential fatty acids. Those are really good for our brain. They're required for our brain. In fact, we need all those good, healthy fats. So you can, like, olive oil is fantastic. Coconut oil is fantastic. Nuts and seeds, all of those really, really fantastic, options when it comes to fats. The fats I'm not talking about, and this is where I think it needs to be clear because we're so familiar with other fats, things like fried foods and French fries and donuts. Those are the fats that we are trying to avoid. Yeah. Now, and I'll tell you a popular one because of the keto diet and even paleo was to eat a lot of bacon.
Yeah, right?
And listen, I have some some of my other colleagues that are doing what I do, the men and women that do what I do. We disagree sometimes in this, but I'll tell you, listen, God's garden still applies. It still has to be organic. And there's just not a lot of organic pig out there. There's just not. I know some people who hunt boar, but they don't bring it home and they don't cook it up, so for that reason, we need alternative like turkey bacons and stuff like that. So we still have to be smart. So listen, we didn't have to be smart 100 years ago. We didn't have these options to put bad food in our bodies. So do we have to think about it more? I guess you don't have to, but if you want to be, get moving closer to superhuman, that's certainly a thing that we should be, incorporating in our, in our education and things that we're doing, saying like, what things go in this temple, they're going to get me closer to where and who I want to be versus farther away.
and other vegetable oils as well. Those are kind of fats that people should stay away from.
The vegetable fats?
Like the processed vegetable oils, canola oil, things like that.
Yes, in fact, that's one of those bad fats that once it's in the body, very, very difficult to get it back out of the body. So if you think, unfortunately, like here's this how it's like the vegetable oil is awful. It's like, I don't know, I'm going to call it like poison for the cell. That's typically canola oil. Even if it says like organic canola oil, the processing of it it's still canola oil. And it's very, very difficult for the body to get rid of. So collectively, we want to avoid, that type of oil. But olive oil, fantastic. So like when someone says like, what can I put on my salad? Sure. Like do an olive oil. Like that's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Okay. So let's move on to plant-based, shall we? Because we use that word a lot. And then there's all these new plant-based foods that are coming out. What does plant-based even mean, really?
So plant-based, I'll give you like really what it means. And then I'll give you my guesses on why it's here. And I think there's a good part of why it's here, and I think there's a not so good part of why it's here. So plant-based diet. So when someone says I'm plant-based or this is a plant-based cleanse. So, our cleanse coming up, we're going to do it. By the way, everyone, we're going to do a 10-day cleanse. It's our cleanse, but it is plant-based. That it's exactly what it is. It's a 10-day plant-based cleanse. So if you guys want, it's not starvation diet, clean the system out, get your body ready and rocking for the summer. And a great little reset, quite frankly. It's the same cleanse that we do in the beginning of the year, but we'll just do a 10-day quickie. And so it's perfect, especially now that like it's smoothie season, and it's easy and fun to make smoothies. All right. So plant-based means is that it is a plant-based diet, meaning that what you eat comes from plants. It comes from God's garden. So plant-based diet probably describes what I talk about, or kind of, I don't know, preach is the right word, but kind of what I recommend the most when it comes to God's garden, really a plant-based diet. So what it also, people get a little confused here that a plant-based diet, Karen, does not exclude animal proteins.
Yeah.
It's not a vegetarian diet, but the emphasis is on plants. And this is significant. So, and I think this is kind of how it came out. I think there's two reasons why this really came out. And I think one was because vegetarian and vegan diets, and I agree 100% with what I'm about to say, that over the years, the primary attribute to a vegan or a vegetarian diet was that they were not eating meat.
Yes.
That was the primary attribute. And the difference between the two was very subtle. So a vegetarian may allow for things like butter and things like honey and possibly eggs and sometimes fish or a fish oil or something like that, where the vegan did absolutely no animal products. Yet the premise of both of those was wrapped around the fact that there was absolutely no animal products. Now, I'm certain when this first started, it was with pure intentions. The challenge is that it turned into eat anything but meat. And that's real. That's as real as it gets. It turned into carbitarian. So people would, do pizza, and people would do chips with cheese or just whatever, just like, so anything. So processed food was allowed.
I love bread.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Yeah. So processed food on a vegetarian diet was never questioned, as long as it wasn't meat. And this is as real as it gets when it comes, clinically. And I think I've said it here and then off air with my other clinicians that, we're always talking and chatting, is that I probably see for the amount of, say, vegetarians that I have, the rate of things like anxiety and other hormonal imbalances are higher in that subset than any subset I have.
And you can do these diets well.
Oh,
what
yeah.
do you do to be able to do a good vegetarian diet? Because there are some people that will have, other reasons why they don't want to eat meat. So what do we need to do to be able to do a good, because kind of what you're talking about is, a lot of people do this wrong. But if you wanted to, if you wanted to do the vegetarian diet right, you could.
Yeah, 100%. Like no doubt about it. There are literally millions of people out there that survive and thrive off of vegan and vegetarian diets. We'll tell you that it's important they become very educated and they really understand what they're putting into their body, because just not eating meat is not healthy. So you can't have like a negative, like a double negative. Like, it doesn't work that way. So just not doing something doesn't make you great at something else. So we have to be super, super good and tuned into what are the shortcomings. And ultimately, a shortcoming, and it's not a guaranteed shortcoming, but a shortcoming is protein. So, and listen, I know you can get protein from plants. You can, yet you better have a good strategy. And I'll in a minute, I'll try to tell people if they want to figure out how much protein they could or should eat. There's like a little formula. It's a little complicated, or it's not, but I'll explain it. But vegetarians in general have an imbalance. They're eating too many carbs and sugar, and they're not eating enough amino acids, enough, like, the full panel of amino acids, 8-9 essential amino acids that you need to make a protein, molecule with. So that's the fundamental challenge for most vegetarians. And yes, we definitely have world-class athletes that are vegetarian and vegan. So it's doable. So real quickly, if I have any of my vegans or vegetarians listening, do a little gut check, no doubt about it, right? Find out, are you just an anti-meat eater, or are you a true vegetable-tarian or a vegetable vegan, whatever we want to call it. So that would bring like back into the plant-based world. I mean, God's garden, 100%. Non-GMO, organic, lots of good healthy fats, lots of good, like, you can use your nuts and all that stuff for your proteins, nuts and fats. And probably the two best ways or two easiest things would be to incorporate like pea proteins and hemp proteins. Okay. And both have a good amino acid profile, that, especially if you're making smoothies and stuff. But that is how you got to think. Otherwise, you can get deficient. Karen, we just talked about diabetes. So if a diet goes to a vegetarian diet, and the challenge is that a lot of their doctors, because they have all of these different like metabolic syndrome type stuff, fatty liver disease, they have high blood glucose, they have high blood pressure, they have obesity. One of the first things their doctor takes them off of is red meat. Yeah. And when we take a big portion of our food potential sources out, what do you move toward? You move toward easier foods. So the diabetics have no other choice but to go more toward carbohydrates. So it's a vicious cycle. So just getting red meat isn't the answer. And I said this off air, the number one thing, and everyone listen, because at least one person out there said this to me that's listening tonight. The number one thing, when I see my peeps, in the clinic, I usually ask them, how you doing? How's your mind? How's your body? How's your nutrition? How's your diet? Right. And well, my diet's going really good. Really? What's going on? Well, I'm no longer eating meat. Yeah. I hear that comment 10 times more than I hear I'm off sugar. I'm no longer drinking alcohol. I've gotten off of gluten. I removed all my processed foods. I don't hear those. Those have to be like, I got to twist their arm and all that stuff. But the number one thing I hear, and it's like this concept, if I get off of meat, all of a sudden it's going to be better. And I'll tell you, listen, if you eat bad meat, it's really bad. Like, do not eat bad meat. But when we talk about grass-fed, organic beef, and we're talking about listening to our body, which you can only do if you're clean and you crave it a little bit, eat it. I was craving it this weekend, and boy, did I eat some.
I guess we talked about before, how much do you actually eat? Maybe we can talk about that with how much protein we should eat, because I do think that a lot of people, I don't know, I seem to talk to eat too much meat. Like, how, I think they'll be surprised at how much you do eat. Like, are you having a steak at every meal?
No, that was I probably had red meat for the first time in 2 months. Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's because we are talking about it, being a source of protein and these kind of things, but it's definitely not, it doesn't have to be the staple of, we don't need to have an animal source necessarily at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
No, you really, really don't. So I want to make sure my message doesn't come across skewed tonight, where I'm not saying we have to eat more meat. I think we have to eat clean. That's always going to be the thing. And when we get back to God's garden and we can listen to our body, you'll have those cravings. So I talk to a lot of my women, and then just be like, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to eat meat, but I'm craving it. I'm like, yeah, because you're low in iron and your body's begging you to listen to it. And again, that's a great example for my vegetarian women. Like, where are you getting your iron sources? I know it's coming from plants. I know it's in there, but good luck getting enough, right? Well, we already have, and then, the ideal sources for iron would be like red meat and dark meat chicken, dark meat turkey are the best. So let's talk about protein for a second, because you're absolutely right. Like it's not about never having it, but it's also not about always having it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know here, and I don't know what it's like in Australia, but here in the States, like you grow up, like, what are you having for dinner? I'm like, it's going to be like, ribeye or steak or like beef burgers, or like, it's going to be something like you're going to get a big chunk of meat. Otherwise it's like you weren't fulfilled or something. And I kind of grew up like, we call it meat and potatoes, but I'll let go of some of that over here. So here's a formula. So here's a formula that you can figure out. You figure out your body fat percentage. And listen, old school calipers are still as accurate as anything out there. They work. Yeah. If you use the same like you can do a lot of different ways. And another way, you can just Google and you can look at body fat percentage. And then if you like, you can find places where they have like a lot of different body types. And if you're like, oh, that looks like me, my body type, then you can say, all right, well, that's roughly my body fat composition as well. So what you do is you take 100 minus your body fat. And I'm going to use easy numbers, kind of roughly my numbers. You take 100 minus 10, which is 10%. But I will say this, I'm not 10%. This past weekend, I did my body fat and I was 8.9%. I'm just saying, just throwing it out.
Nice work.
So anyways, well, I was happy about that moment. That was nice. Sidetrack. So you take 100. So everyone's listening. Here's how you determine, if you want to determine how much, remember, there's like really smart people figuring out like how much lean muscle mass in your body helps you determine how much metabolically you can absorb. No different than we talked about the intestines. There's so many feet in your intestines. Women are a little bit different than men, and we need a little bit, sources of volume of fiber. So in the same scenario, you can take 100 minus your body fat percentage. And these easy numbers, we'll do 100 minus 10. That was 10% body fat. That leaves me at 90%.
Okay.
Multiply that times my weight. We'll say for ease sakes, 180 pounds. So 90 times 180. And I think that gives you,
I'll just do it. 90 times 180.
So do 180 times 90%.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
165, 162.
162. Yeah.
So that 162 is my lean body mass. That's my muscle mass. And then divide that number in 2, and roughly that is about how many grams per day?
So about 80 grams of protein for you.
Max. Okay. So
max. Now, what about min? Because a lot of people also have trouble getting enough protein.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just real easy. So I'm going to repeat that, how you guys do your own math here. So you take 100 minus your body fat.
Yeah.
It's going to give you a percentage. So if it's 100 minus 30%, 30, if your body fat is 30%, you'll have 70%. You take that 70%, multiply that by your overall body weight. That'll give you your lean muscle mass, and divide that by 2. And that's a rough number. So that's like if you're out breaking down muscle tissue and you're going to try to replenish everything that you broke down, that would be about your max per day. So what does that mean? That's like, if I have like a big old smoothie, I'm probably putting 35, 40 grams. Okay. Big piece of chicken is 35, 40 grams. Done. And that's max. I'd probably say that I'd probably say on an average, I live between about 40 grams of protein up to about 90. And that's about it. When I train harder, I listen into my body. I feel like, man, I just need a little bit more. Because protein's just as important as anything. Like it is for our immune system, for, our eyes, like everything. We need protein. So it's a very, very, important molecule in our body. Yet too much, Karen. And this is a challenge. Like too much of it is too much. So becoming intuitive eaters, and it's easier to become intuitive eater when there's no chemicals in your food. It's easier to become intuitive eaters when we have a lot of fiber, because fiber satiates us. So that number right there is your max number. And listen, if you are a ballistic CrossFit training 2.5 hour endurance athlete, your numbers will change a little bit. But if you're doing that, you should be really dialed into either using a nutritionist or someone who knows how to guide, or yourself, and guide you through those numbers. But every one of us out there that are just, we're just trying to be as healthy as we can and enjoy this body as much as we can. We're somewhere, that's our max number, and then somewhere below it. So in general, most people are way overeating. So I'll give you an example. Like, it's not uncommon that if you'd asked me about my diet 10 years ago, I'd probably start the morning off with 6 eggs at a roughly, I don't know, I think there's about 6 grams of protein each. That's 36, 40 grams right there. Maybe a little bit of bacon right there. I'd probably have a chicken sandwich, another 35, 40 for lunch, and definitely big time something for dinner. That's with no protein bars and no shakes during the day. So hitting 100, 150 every day, very, very common in our country. It happens on a regular basis.
Yeah, wow. I've got a question here from in our chat. Should women that still have a monthly cycle have meat more frequently?
Again, ideal answer here is that you are clean enough to be intuitive enough. That is the gold stamp answer right there. And when I find that you are, I can say to my women clients, and they know, I say, just trust your body. And when you crave a little red meat, you go get it. That is your body's way of saying you need nutrients. No different like when we crave salt, your body needs minerals. That's what that is, because it's supposed to come from sea salt, and it means your adrenal glands need it. So if you're still cycling, you're going to need additional ways. The majority of cycling women are borderline anemic. So
yeah, I mean, I can't, I don't know. I almost feel like I want to say I almost don't know any women that haven't at least at some stage had low iron.
And I agree.
I don't, yeah.
All of them. Yeah, all of them.
Right? Like, that's what I was trying to, is there an example of, but I've definitely had on and off low iron, and almost everybody I know has.
And I know a little side topic, but low iron, man, like, talk about like the subtle, silent little just destructor, because you'll get fatigued, your body will break down, your skin changes, your brain fog happens. Like, it's significant in just having low iron. And to think about how many women specifically do not eat red meat. Like, yeah. And it's our best source. So again, I'm not talking about going to McDonald's and whacking back a couple, like burgers or something like that. I'm talking about getting legitimate grass-fed burger. So this past weekend, had me some legitimate grass-fed burgers. Mm-hmm.
And you loved it.
Oh my God, I love it. So it just, so like, it was literally on this monster salad, and it wasn't just grass-fed burgers. There was like grass-fed hot dogs too. And like,
oh, did you cook them, or was this out somewhere?
No, we cooked them at home. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't do anything. I just ate them all. My wife cooked them. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, awesome. We've got a question on Facebook. What about milk?
All right. So milk falls into a category of unfortunate. It once was absolutely awesome if you can get raw milk, but because it goes through a process called homogenization, which is a high-powered filtering system. It shreds the fat and it shreds the protein to make them undistinguishable to the human body. That means it's a denatured proteins. So that is why, like, when you look at milk, it's just perfectly white. It just floats and it doesn't settle at all. But fat, protein, and carbohydrate all have different weights. So when you milk a cow, not that I've done this, but when you look at a cow that's been milked, in the jar, the fat all rises to the top. Well, that doesn't happen in the milk jug. So they homogenize it, and then they pasteurize it, which is it's cooking it high heat. So it kills it. So unfortunately, it now turns to, hear me out here, to sugar. So our milk is basically lactose. That is why growing up, we love milk and cereal. Like, that's why I was addicted to it. I saw a commercial last night, some dude eating like, cereal. I was like, oh my God, I love those. Like, but milk cereal. And so you eat cereal with, a grain and a gluten and probably covered in sugar with another, like milky, cold,
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So milk is a no-no.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Even if you can get organic milk, right? It's still going through the same process.
Yeah, it's still going through the same process, and that's the challenge. So the In My God's Garden version, it's organic. Number 2 is non-processed.
Yeah.
So there's like those 4 couple rules there, and one is 100% organic. Number 2 is not processed. And then, of course, if you don't know, the answer is always no. So those are my garden rules.
And other sources of dairy?
Other sources of dairy. Yeah. So then we can get okay. So when we get to like cheese, the fat is intact, the protein's intact. So if you get some grass-fed cheese, cool, awesome.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And even though people don't do good with lactose, Karen, there's less than lactose in cheese.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have just like just saved all these people that love cheese but think they don't want the lactose.
And again, being intuitive here is important. So listening to your body. So, like, and knowing what's good for you. So the cheese that, like orange cheese and stuff like that, there's no orange cows.
We
Like,
have that color here. When I first came to America, your cheese, whoa. Yeah, we don't have orange cheese. I'd never seen orange cheese before. But yeah, I don't know what happened to make it orange.
I don't know, but there's a lot of,
Yeah, anyway, awesome. Okay, so that's keto, plant-based. We kind of touched on vegan as well. Is there anything else about if people are doing a vegan vegetarian diet, any supplements or things they need to think about maybe adding in?
Yes. So through all of these strategies that we're usually using them to advance some type of part of our health, and they might have little deficiencies in it. So if we went back to the keto, Karen, when you're in keto and you're burning a lot, we're getting rid of the carbohydrates, and we're burning a lot of fat for fuel. You'll also tend to run out of your B vitamins pretty fast, and you'll pee them out. You're going to urinate a lot. So we got to make sure that if you're doing it, that using a whole food source, maybe you can put in the notes. I always recommend something called Cataplex B. So remember, B vitamins are water soluble. And as you're turning your motor more, revving up your metabolism, burning fat for fuel, you're going to burn through those faster. And it's important so you don't have to hit a wall when you're in that keto diet, because they're an important part of, the ATP cycle. So that's with keto. Minerals are real important for keto. When we get to the vegan and the vegetarian, a big issue here is your essential fatty acids. Things like fish oils, things you can get from grass-fed butter, things you can get from grass-fed beef, things you can get from, organic eggs, things you can get from fish oil. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, and listen, I 100% understand if someone tells me I'm vegan because it's a moral, ethical, issue. I just don't want to harm an animal. My wife is that way. Like, she just, like, if she sees a little like thing on Facebook about a cute little pet pig, she's not touching. Like, she's done with pork anyways. Like, it's just not happening. Like, she wants, like, to have little pigs next to our bulldogs.
That would be cute.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So I understand. And I never, and I don't, certainly not going to judge anyone for like their moral, ethical reasons or religious reasons. You have to be intelligent. So if you will, then, then if you're willing to do a fish oil, absolutely. That would be the simplest solve for the essential fatty acids, and and getting a good aminos, like through, like I mentioned before, like a protein, like a pea protein or a hemp protein, super important there as well. And that's probably the biggest thing for both the vegans and vegetarians, probably plant-based peeps as well, unless they are incorporating some eggs and stuff like that, that they're going to lose out on some of those really good fats and the essential fatty acids. And the reason those essential fatty acids are so critical, Karen, I think more now than ever, I say it all the time. Well, I don't know if I say it all the time, but if you're in my clinic, the number one supplement that I recommend for every person to go on is a fish oil. That's number one. And it's because our brains are 50% made of DHA. They're 50% fat, about 50% of that or so is DHA. And when we lose out on that, we have brain problems, dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and they're competing against all the inflammation from the sugar. So anybody, and even if you're eating salmon 3-4 days a week, it's just too easy to supplement, because brain issues are real issues. And once they begin, they're really, really, really difficult to get rid of.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. And maybe we can put in the chat of fish oil. You've got a cod liver oil that you recommend.
That's my favorite. And the reason I go with cod liver so often, and there's a lot of good fish oils out there, don't get me wrong. Yet my reason I use cod liver so frequently is because it has naturally occurring vitamin A and vitamin D. And those are both very, very important, especially vitamin A. Yet I lean away from ever supplementing vitamin A by itself. It's supposed to be with other naturally occurring things like vitamin D.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we touched on a couple of other diets in the beginning, things like the carnivore diet. What is the carnivore diet? And are there some of these other diets that you use therapeutically that some people would think about with some conditions?
Yeah, the carnivore diet's a great example of that. So carnivore diet is kind of what it sounds like, but it can be very therapeutic as well. So let me explain. So I don't know many scenarios that I ever use a carnivore diet more than 30 days. And some other clinicians might have other reasons for that. But typically, I'll use a carnivore diet with candida patients. I'll use it with like yeast infections.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do there, like, clinically, my what I'm always trying to do is how can I help an individual without throwing their life upside down, get the results that they want, without feeling like this being punished by doing a good thing. And changing our diet often feels like punishment. So just imagine for a second that when it comes to like candida and yeast, the goal is to get rid of, like, we're trying to kill it off, but it feeds carbohydrates and sugar. And it doesn't take much. You feed a little bit and grows. It's like weeds in the garden. So for 30 days, like I might put you on a carnivore diet, but that would include like a chicken and lean beef, like anything. So we have this moment in time. Even when I do that, I often do have them do cruciferous vegetables. And here's why: cruciferous vegetables, they're insoluble fibers. Meaning, like, literally, we don't break them down. So they work great as these rakes. Even as that candida is dying off, it can help pull and clean that microbiome up really, really fast. So it's like it's awesome, just change in the game plan. And I don't even call it keto. I don't call it paleo. I say we're going to, into a carnivore diet. So it just sounds like it is. We're going to eat chicken, egg, and fish, and meat, and cow, and deer, and all that, just whatever. 30 days, just enough to kill it off. And then we migrate out of that. So, and again, I can't think of a scenario really where I've gone more than 30 days with that. And I always I call it a carnivore diet, but I always incorporate cruciferous vegetables. And if need be, I even have a supplement that is something called Cruciferous Complete. If you're and I had this last week, and someone say, I don't eat vegetables. Like, period. They've tried, they've actually gone to therapy for it. They don't eat vegetables.
Wow. Okay.
Like, all right, fine. Let's not make your challenge like unsurmountable. So we're fine. We'll just supplement it. We'll just like give them cruciferous vegetables, 3 little capsules worth like eating an entire, bucket of broccoli. So there's always ways around that. So that's one. Were there any other specific?
Well, we've got a couple of questions. Do you want to answer a couple of questions just on, well, we've still got a little bit of time here, on a couple of different foods? Like, what about nutritional yeast? Do you recommend nutritional yeast?
Yeah. So nutritional yeast, we always want to check its source, where that source, we want to make sure it's organic. And that's one, Karen, where people can get some B12. And if you're a vegan or vegetarian, it's another vitamin that's deficient. Most of that comes great sources, red meat. The bigger challenge that most people have with B12 is their digestive system. In here, just pay attention. If you say, man, meat just doesn't feel good to me anymore, most likely your digestive system, your stomach acids, your pH is gone too high and your acid isn't strong enough. And if you can't break down red meat, you can't absorb B12. It's just a little side note there. So using digestive enzymes good, but nutritional yeast, makes things taste like cheese, or kind of, and a good organic source. Right now, I'm still on the fence. Like I'm still on the, yes, nutritional yeast is good. I've read some stuff recently that has made me, I'm going to scratch my head and dive deeper into it. But right now I'm still supporting it.
Okay. Awesome. What about if you are allergic to fish? Is flaxseed oil a good substitute?
Yeah, flaxseed oil is a good substitute. Real important with your flaxseed oil that it's a very, very, very fragile oil. It's awesome. I love it. It's very inexpensive. Fragile meaning that it oxidizes very, very easy. And this is important to understand because we do not want bad oils. And so I don't even recommend getting flaxseed as a liquid. I recommend getting it as a capsule, but you absolutely will. You can convert. So here's the thing with all the plant oils. So I love that this question just came up here. So if you don't want to do fish oils and it's still out of your, like, I'm still not doing that, that's in the animal product, you can do your vegetable oils, and you can do things like, flaxseed oil. You can do even primrose oil. You can do black currant seed oil, but they all have to be converted. So they're they get converted in the liver. It's a little harder for you to absorb them. So you got to be on top of your game. And it is very important that you do this, especially, if you want good, healthy hair, skin, nails, eyes, brains. So absolutely you can do that. We use something called Linen B6, which is our flaxseed oil. Love it. Little side note, phenomenal for helping breast health. Just everyday good breast health for females. It's a very, very thin oil, so it's able to get through some of the thinner the lymph nodes in there and just kind of help flush them out, which is really good.
Awesome. What about oat milk? What do you think of oat milk?
Oat milk is yummy because it's high in carbs. Like that's why everyone loves it. Like just read your labels. Like, yeah, like I too was like, oh my God, this oat milk is awesome. And then like, all right, yeah, I'm having a sugar drink. And then, like, and listen, Karen, I think, man, I wish my wife was here right now, but I think she's the hawk on all these products, especially when there's something new. She's like, let me get into that one. And there's so a lot of those oat milks actually have some of the, man, I think it's canola oil. So just be,
wow.
There's some stuff out there. So just be really, really mindful. There's a company out there called like Milk, I think they call it. Yeah, which is probably better, but everyone loves the oat milk because it's full of sugar. Yeah, it's not keto friendly. No way, no how. So just take a look. And other than that, like if it's a pure organic source and nothing's added to, it could be good. You're gonna spike the blood sugar levels.
Yeah, compared to something like coconut milk, almond milk.
Yeah, like in that world right there. So that was my premise there, comparing that to like almond milk and coconut milk.
Yeah, awesome. Somebody on Facebook asked if we can just quickly repeat that protein gram formula again.
Sure. So take your body fat percentage. We'll use -10. Go 100 minus 10. That gives me 90. That's a percentage. So 90%. Multiply that time my overall body weight, 180 pounds. And I think that gave us a number of 162.
So 180 times 0.9.
Correct. That's my lean body mass, my lean muscle mass. I wish I had a chart here. I got these. Anyways, that's your lean muscle mass. Take about half of that. That'd be like your max. So for me, 162 divided by 2, that's 81. Or 81? Yeah, 81. 81 grams of protein today, max. I rarely reach that capacity. And sometimes you might reach it because you've been training real hard, you're breaking down muscle tissue and repairing it. And then you can go right back off it, but not to make, and I really hesitated even sharing that because I don't want people to think, well, I need to get 80 grams today based on my lean muscle mass. No, it's still law of supply and demand. And the more intuitive we get, that is really the key. We're not intuitive. I mean, we're emotional leaders. I'm an emotional leader. Like, intuitive. And when we get intuitive with our eating, which you can only do when you're clean, then you can like be like, yeah, I could tell I need a little bit more of this or that.
Yeah, love it. Next question is, how will I find out about the upcoming cleanse? Will I receive an email if I currently receive emails for the Tuesday night Zoom calls here? And I'm just going to let everybody know that, yeah, we will. If you are on our email list, so if you are on Zoom here, then you will get our emails about the cleanse. If you're not, if you're listening to us on Facebook, if you can go to healthmadesimpleshow.com and register, then you will be on our email list to get all our promos. And anything else you want to say about how to find out about the upcoming cleanse?
No, other than it's gonna be fun. Like we're gonna go all in. Like, so I'll launch it. We'll launch it together. We'll stay focused. So I will tell you, like this is not an easy time to cleanse. Like,
yeah.
The easy part is gonna be, it's really, really, there's two parts of this. It is super easy because it's like smoothie. Perfect time. It's like perfect time to make a nice cold smoothie for the summer. Super satiated. We have all those formulas. We're gonna go back into the Facebook group, Karen. So make sure you guys are part of that. We'll launch. I don't have the exact date in front of it, but we're gonna launch it on a Monday. I think we're gonna go from the 20th to the 30th of June. So before the July 4th weekend, that was the goal, that we got it in before everyone, like we get into that July 4th weekend. So 10 days to reset and really to clean our bodies out, to give ourselves an opportunity. We know momentum's been building up for every one of us. Every time I mention someone, everyone's like, yes. And we'll just do 10 days. Commit yourself to the short version. You can go on yourself, but I'm going to go on there and I'm going to coach, and our team will be on there. We're going to kind of all migrate through this. I know for me personally, I'm so looking forward to it. Like this past January is one of the best I've ever felt. We went on that extended 21-day cleanse, and it's just everything felt phenomenal. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And again, not because, for me right now, like, I guess I could always lose a couple pounds, but it's not even for that for me, but just because of how good I felt and just getting rid of the stuff. And even if you got a clean diet, it's just to cleanse out, to rehab, especially, listen, if any of you guys are not 20 anymore, which is probably most of you, the art of moving forward, the art of being healthy. And I had this conversation with a young lady who's in her 60s today talking to me. She said, I've never cleansed before. And I said, what? I said, think about it. Every religion in the world has some type of cleanse, but listen, it's because it's what moves us forward. It allows us an opportunity, a timeout, a draw line in the sand, and let us move forward a little bit. Let's clean the body out. And this is really rehab more than anything, because we're going to rehab the pancreas, we're going to rehab the gallbladder, we're going to rehab the liver, we're going to rehab the stomach and your lymphatics. So that is the goal here, that we make everything work better, and then we get to move forward into our summer.
Yeah, love it. And next week on the show, we'll have a link for you guys to register. So you'll be able to register by next week's show. And Kim says, I'm so nervous for the cleanse, excited but nervous.
Yeah, in normal emotion, Kim. Like, that's awesome. And like, it's so true. And like, I'm nervous. I'm not nervous because I know that I'm gonna have to like lean off, but just listen, no matter where you are, I promise you at the end of it, one, you have to have the experience. Just the fact that you just admitted that, you have to give yourself the experience. It is not a starvation diet. It's a plant-based diet, and you're just gonna make a whole bunch of smoothies, getting really good for 10 days. And after the end of it, you're gonna be like, good job, Kim, good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. All right, well, let's move into our last question. What is one action that our listeners can take from the show today to move them towards their goal of becoming superhuman?
Well, it came to me as I was speaking here, and that is to allow yourself to become more of an intuitive eater.
Yeah. Good one. Love it.
You got to get
awesome, guys.
Which means we got to get clean to do it. Yeah.
Right. Makes it so much easier. Well, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. We always love having you here. We will be back same time next week for another episode of the Health Made Simple show.
And again, thank you guys for showing up. Keep doing the thing, keep sharing it out, keep spreading love. And then, of course, continue to take deliberate action for your mind, your body, your overall wellness, and you'll be awesome.